The woman strutted onto my land like she'd bought it at auction yesterday. Red bottoms digging into the ranch dirt, her briefcase polished so clean I could see the barn reflected on it. She didn't even flinch when my dogs barked from the porch, just stood at my front gate, arms crossed, grinning like the universe owed her a favor. I remember thinking, here we go, as I ducked under an old oak branch, wiping sweat off my brow, and headed over. Her blazer screamed high-dollar city lawyer, but her voice, oh, that voice was pure HOA. All bite and no neighborly charm. "Good afternoon," she called, waving a fat envelope like it was my golden ticket to the circus. "Mr. Thomas Grant." I nodded, keeping my face calm. "That's me." She handed me the envelope as if she was expecting me to burst into tears on the spot. "The Homeowners Association is suing you," she said, listing off violations so fast you'd think she was on commission. Unauthorized structures, visual disharmony, lack of permits, the usual HOA buzzwords. I took a slow breath, opened it up, and there it was. Official court dates, that HOA logo, and her card, Samantha Kent, Legal Counsel. She had the same smirk I'd seen on plenty of courtroom bullies. "I advise you to remove the red barn, the satellite tower, and that flagpole by week's end." "Or we escalate," she added, like she was reading from a playbook. I gave her a steady look, let a small smile creep in. "Miss Kent, I'm a retired attorney general. Helped write some of the land laws around here." Her mouth twitched. "This ranch is exempt from your HOA. Been that way for decades, it's in county records. You might want to check with your client before you start a war." She blinked, hesitated. "We'll see about that." She snapped heels, slipping a little on the gravel as she stormed off to her black BMW. You know what I mean? Folks like that, when they get told no, they only push harder. And I knew right then things were about to get real messy. Let me back up a second. I'm Tom Grant, 68 years old. Former Attorney General of Texas, spent 3 decades fighting for folks like you against overreaching companies and bureaucratic nonsense. This ranch, 80 acres of sunburn and sweat, was my grandfather's. After I retired, I rebuilt the old house, restored the barn, raised a flagpole where I fly Old Glory and the Texas flag side by side every day, no apologies. For a long while it was peaceful. Then they built Clear Meadow Estates half a mile down, and that's when the trouble started. Janet Holloway, their HOA president, was a piece of work, smiled with her mouth, judged you with her eyes. First time I met her, she tried to convince me to repaint my barn because red clashes with our palette. I thought she was kidding. She wasn't. It started slow, odd letters in my mailbox about unapproved external constructions, people snapping photos of my barn and solar panels from the road. I even caught Janet pointing at my fence, whispering with a guy in a suit. At first I ignored it. My property wasn't in their zone, but these folks weren't the type to quit. One morning my gate was bent like someone rammed it in the night. No witnesses, just tire tracks. My neighbor Chris, a young Army vet, came by that afternoon. He showed me a screenshot from the HOA's app, Janet posting about my place ruining the community's look. Let them try. I told Chris, trying to laugh it off. Then Samantha Kent arrived with that lawsuit and the battle lines were drawn. That night I pored over the legal docs. Every accusation was built on HOA bylaws which didn't touch my land. My exemption was solid, wrote it myself, back when Clear Meadow was just a patch of wildflowers. They were trying to use fear, hoping I'd fold. But I didn't get this far by backing down. I put on my best jeans and my old badge, and I went to their next HOA meeting. Janet went pale when I walked in, but she plastered on a smile. "It's a private meeting, Mr. Grant." "That's fine," I said. "I'm here as a public citizen observing an HOA that's overstepping." When they pulled up a slide with my barn and legal action underway, I raised my hand. "Just want the record to show this lawsuit is a misuse of HOA funds and borders on harassment. My property's not under your control. You keep pushing, I'll countersue." Silence. One guy asked who I was. "Thomas Grant, retired Attorney General." You could have heard a mouse sneeze. I thought that would scare them straight. It only made them desperate. 2 nights later, someone threw a rock through my window, taped a note to it. "This is your warning. The sheriff, Wade Mason, good kid, came out dusted for prints. Looks like some folks out at Clear Meadow want you gone," he said, frowning. "You're not in their district, but they act like they own the whole county." "That's about to change," I told him. Next day I called Judge Elaine Porter, an old friend. She told me, "Tom, file a restraining order and document everything." So I did set up cameras, kept every letter, every weird email. Chris helped me set up motion detectors. 2 weeks later, a letter came from the county. Someone filed a bogus complaint accusing me of illegal water runoff from my solar panels. A total smear job. I bundled up every permit, every environmental report, and requested a hearing. At County Hall, Janet and Samantha sat front row. But when I laid out my evidence, the judge tossed their complaint, told the HOA to cease and desist. Thought that'd end it. Nope. That night, Chris rushed over with his phone screenshots of a private HOA chat. We may have lost in court, but we'll make his life miserable. No one mocks Janet's HOA. That's when I knew they weren't just after me. They wanted control. Time to fight fire with fire. I filed a civil harassment suit and asked for a court order. Clear Meadow HOA couldn't so much as mention my name. Sheriff Darnell, old buddy of mine, served them in person. Janet nearly choked on her wine. For a second, I thought it might be over. Then someone started a fire behind my barn, tried to burn me out. Fire department put it out in time, but the captain said, this was deliberate. Now it was criminal. Next court date, I walked in, laid out everything, threats, vandalism, arson attempts. Judge Ramirez granted a permanent injunction and sent all my evidence to the DA for criminal review. Janet's face turned to stone. Samantha dropped her pen. I thought they'd crawl away. Instead, they doubled down, cut my fence, tried to frame me for illegal pesticide storage. I brought in a PI, Frank Russo, who found them funneling HOA funds into fake consulting firms, Samantha's husband's company. Janet even told her board to handle things unofficially. Fraud plain as day. We handed everything to the DA. Next thing, investigators raided the clubhouse, froze accounts, arrested Janet, and suspended Samantha's law license. That's when people started thanking me. Letters from folks who'd lived under HOA threats for years. A single mom, Abigail Moore, wrote, "You stood up and now we can breathe again." That made every sleepless night worth it. A few weeks later, a kid knocked on my door, handed me a crayon drawing of me in front of the barn. "Thank you for being brave." His mom said he could finally ride his bike past the checkpoint. I teared up. That little piece of paper meant more than any settlement check. So here's my truth. The law doesn't end at the HOA's property line. If you stand your ground, document everything, and fight with the facts, you can win, even against bullies with money and lawyers. After the dust settled, the county named a park after me. Life on the ranch got peaceful again, but I never fully relaxed. Peace isn't just quiet. It's knowing you fought for what's right. So tell me, if you were me, would you have backed down or fought back? Drop your thoughts below. Share your stories about HOAs, and let's keep this conversation going. Sometimes justice just needs someone stubborn enough to swing back.